I don't know. Is this a moment that we can start panicking? Should we be panicking? Should I be worrying? Welcome back to the Arsenal Humans podcast with me, Luce. I hope you're good. Just a bit of a disclaimer to sort of kick off this episode. I haven't actually done a warm-up poll today, and I wish I had a reason why, but I just haven't got one. To be fair, the only reason I can really think of is I've been a bit busy, so I haven't really thought of one. And then all the ones I thought of, I felt like were a bit generic, like in terms of the men, we're entering the international break, top of the league, and I thought this is amazing. How do I put this into a question? Or if I'm like, oh, are we going to win the league? Obviously, a lot of people are going to say, yes, let's support Arsenal. And people that don't support Arsenal will be like, no, relax, it's literally so early on. In the women's side, I felt like I didn't want to be too negative. Obviously, we've had poor form recently, and I was like, oh, how do I word this? And I was like, you know what, let me just leave one, because I thought I'd rather not put one out there than put one out there that's a bit poor, bit bad, whatever. But obviously, there were so many questions that I probably could have done. I just lacked the creativity this week. So if you guys have any ideas, let me know down in the comments, because I'd love to hear what you guys would have said. I feel like you've come up with a lot better ideas than I did this week. But yeah, that's sort of starting off this episode on a bit of a, oh, no, but we've got a lot to chat about. We've got 3 games to reflect on. We've got 2 games to look ahead to. Obviously, as I said, the men have entered that international break, and Arsenal are left in a very, very good spot because we have just become top of the league, top of the Premier League. So I'm buzzing about that. I feel like there's still so much to chat about. So yes, I'm sorry I haven't done a warm-up poll, but there's still loads to chat about. So let's get into that right now. Okay, so actually before I dive fully into the games, just got to mention, obviously, there's an injury. I feel like Arsenal players are getting injured like there's no tomorrow. And no, this is not an excuse. This is me just highlighting it. But Odegaard has sustained an MCL injury in the West Ham game. I don't really know how long he's going to be out for, because I feel like a few friends in the past have had MCL injuries, but they're not obviously professional athletes who then get professional help and treatment, which would obviously speed up the recovery process. So I actually have no idea, because for them it lasted a few months. Of getting slowly recovering back into the game. Rehabilitation takes a little bit longer. But I reckon for a professional athlete, looking through the comments, looking through the sort of vibe, be probably a couple months, or at least a month anyways. And yes, it is such a big loss not having Odegaard in the squad for the next month or however long it is. But we're so lucky that this summer we had a very good transfer window, probably one of our best transfer windows Arsenal have had. And it's meant that we've got backup options that I don't even think you can call backup options, because we've got the likes of Eze who can slot in that midfield. We've got Ethan Waneri who can also slot in there. We've got so many options, players that I haven't even mentioned, like Marino. We've just got so many players that can slot in. So it is a big loss, and obviously it's frustrating because in the first game that I'll get into, one of my takeaways was to do with Odegaard being back, and it's frustrating that he was back and he's looking so good in the last couple of games, and now obviously he's faced injury. But I don't think it would dramatically affect Arsenal, because although we're competing on multiple fronts, I do feel like we've still got a strong squad. So hopefully it's still good. But yeah, hopefully he has a speedy recovery and we'll be back, because we do need him for his passing. He is crucial in that midfield space. And yeah, he's just got those leadership qualities, obviously, as the captain. So it'd be great to have him back soon, but I don't feel like we're in any rush. We'd rather him fully recover, the same way we've seen with Saka, and Saka's obviously come back now, fitter than ever. So yeah, speedy recovery to him. But I just thought I'd say that before I get into the games. Getting into the actual games, obviously the first one, which happened last week in the Champions League, Arsenal 2, Olympiacos 0, which exactly was my score prediction. I don't know how I've done it. Another week in a row I've predicted the exact score. I feel like I've predicted a few games, more so in the men's side, because I feel like I'm a bit too optimistic about the women's side this season, and their performances aren't really matching up just yet. But with the men, somehow it's another score prediction correct. And I feel like it was a good game as a whole. I feel very confident in Arsenal. But before I waffle, I'm going to say my 3 takeaways from this game. So the first takeaway, which is sort of bittersweet to say now because obviously of the news I just said, but Odegaard is back, was back. I don't really know how to word this now that obviously he's injured. But he obviously got the man of the match, and it was just great to see him and his creativity, which almost makes it so bittersweet because obviously now he is out. But it's so good that we saw him like that. Loads of fans were back on his side. Not that they should have left his side and supporting him, but loads of fans sort of were like, what's Odegaard doing? Like, he's not as good, but he is that creative outlet, and I feel like we saw it just before he got injured. International break, obviously a lot of players will be taking rest anyway, so hopefully that will speed up the recovery and he'll be back before we know it, because as much as, yes, he was back in this game, I can't wait for him to be back once he has recovered. The second thing was that Saka was back on the score sheet, and I feel like Saka just shows up in so many games. He's hit another milestone with the Premier League, but focusing on the Champions League, he is a star boy. I know he is our star boy, he is our North London star boy, but in the Champions League, I feel like he was just that next step. I mean, looking at the stats, 17 goal contributions in just 19 appearances. Saka proves why we need him and why it's so good that he came back for that game. I mean, Thierry Henry even made an Instagram post based off his record that he made, obviously, in the West Ham game, and how he's made numerous appearances in the Premier League and goal contributions and everything like that, and had that impact. But I think I could link it to this point because it just proves that he obviously has done the celebration that Thierry Henry did by holding the flag. So it's just great to see that history and how, yeah, Saka is so back, and we need him. Boy, do we need him. The final thing from this game is that I actually have a lot of hope for the Champions League this season. I'm not saying, right, we're going to win this whole tournament, this campaign is ours, but I'm just saying that there seems to be a lot more confidence, not even just from Arsenal fans. I've spoken to a lot of neutrals, and they're like, yeah, I feel like Arsenal have something about them. And for me, I think that is in our rotation, the decisions Arteta's making. I feel very confident in it. And I think it's just the players we're able to bring off from the bench is unreal, because most of them recently have been getting on the score sheet, which is obviously very good for us. So yeah, I just feel very confident overall about the Champions League, and I think we'll be able to get far. I'm not saying we're going to win, but I think we will be able to progress as far as possible. So yeah, I'm feeling hopeful. Let me know, obviously, if you think I'm being a bit delusional about that one in the comments below. But yeah, I feel like there's no reason why not, especially when you look at our form recently, where we sit in the league, how we're competing on multiple fronts, in Carabao Cups, in Champions League games, in Premier League fixtures. We're competing on a lot of fronts right now, and I feel like we're doing a decent job. So yeah, big up Arteta. Moving on to the women's side, which was the next game of last week. I predicted it to be a 3-2 win for Arsenal. Ended up being a 3-2 win for Man City. So I kind of got it the wrong way round. And it does mean that we still sit in 5th spot in the WSL, which I can't really remember the last time that we were this low down so early on. I don't know. Is this a moment that we can start panicking? Should we be panicking? Should I be worrying that we're in 5th spot? I don't really know. I feel like it is still very early on, but this was a game that we needed to get those 3 points, and I feel like I'm going to be saying for every future game, oh, we need to get the points, but then what are the repercussions that we're not getting those points? It means we're just sitting still. It means we've now got 5 points between us and Chelsea. That is worrying. Should we be worrying? I don't know. I feel like I'm asking a lot of questions, which is basically making me worry a little bit more. I just don't know. I want to focus on just a few takeaways, both positive and negative, from this game. The first thing is that I'm actually very impressed that Slagers is starting to rotate. Does she watch the Arsenal Humans podcast? Because the rotation she made is exactly what I've been saying since the start of the season. I've been saying that obviously Lotte Weaver-Moy needs to get minutes. She ended up starting. Kyra Cooney-Cross needs to get some minutes, which she did towards the end of the game. And she brought on that fresh energy and that speed. Also, it's great to see Victoria Pelova get some minutes as well, because I felt like her attacks looked promising. And yeah, it just made me feel very encouraged by not only the manager, because she's willing to experiment and she has the players to experiment with and to rotate with. But obviously it is great that Slagers is looking to experiment, looking to rotate, but sadly it didn't actually turn into 3 points. And I felt all those attacking efforts, all the promising chances from Pelova, from Kyra Cooney-Cross, from Kim Little, whoever was on the pitch, it didn't really turn into too many goals. And I feel like maybe there is a lack of confidence. I think, moving on to my second point, I just feel like somehow Arsenal need to turn their attacking efforts into goals. And I don't know why they haven't done it. I thought it was quite promising, Olivia Smith, earlier in the season, taking chances from distance. We've got Russo always in that box, but I feel like her not being on the score sheet as much as maybe we would like to see. I feel like it is a bit frustrating as Arsenal fans. We're seeing that passage of play going down the channels, and then it's just not ending up in that goal. So I feel like that is very frustrating. So somehow we need to figure out how to get that ball into that net, not just getting that ball down the pitch, playing beautiful football, having more possession, doing all these things are all well and good. But when you're not getting those 3 points, it obviously is quite frustrating, which sort of leads me, I keep feel like I'm saying the same phrase, sort of is my last point, which is another bittersweet moment. I feel like there's been a lot of bittersweet moments for Arsenal this week, but Chloe Kelly's celebration was obviously so powerful, so much depth was behind it, because obviously it was against a former club who didn't treat her how she wanted to be treated, didn't give her minutes when she deserved those minutes. She's come to a club she felt like home, because obviously it was her former club anyways from when she was younger. And then she points at the badge. Thought I didn't point at it then. If you're watching on YouTube, I literally just like pointed at my neck instead. Pointed at the badge, and obviously that has gone viral on socials, and she's getting a lot of hate, which I don't understand why Chloe Kelly is getting that much hate, because she scored an unreal goal for us. She has that emotion behind it, so I think it makes complete sense why. Obviously then they went and City went and got that winner within a matter of moments after Chloe Kelly found the net to equalise for Arsenal. So obviously, when you look at the grand scheme of thing, we lost and Chloe Kelly is celebrating like we won. But in that moment, it felt like a win, not only for her on a personal level, she just scored against a former club who, as I said, didn't treat her with the respect that she deserved, but also for Arsenal, we ended up equalising. This is a game where we needed at least that 1 point, and that would have given it to us, but sadly, it wasn't enough. I don't feel like this is the end for Arsenal. I don't feel like, right, the title can't happen, but it's sad now that Arsenal have basically put our fate in the hands of all the other teams. We need Chelsea to drop points. We need United to drop points. We need City to drop points. We even need the likes of Spurs, Everton, Liverpool, West Ham. We need the likes of basically all the clubs to not do as well so that we have a chance. But even then, we need to show up and we need to get those points. So I feel like the league, it is slowly slipping away from us, which I don't want to say, because I feel like that is quite negative when it's literally been 5-6 weeks. But when we're not showing up in these games, from now until Christmas, it's going to be really crucial to see if we care as much about the league as we probably should, but also we have other competitions to focus on, and as we know, the league is about consistently playing well, whereas other competitions, you need to get the right draw, you need luck to come into play as well, you need to show up in just certain moments throughout the season, which obviously we did last season when we won the Champions League, obviously we've done in the previous couple of seasons when we won the League Cup as well, so we know how to compete in those, and it's just frustrating that with the squad depth we've got, it doesn't make sense why we can't be competing on all fronts. But I don't want to rule it out completely, but I do just feel like maybe it's about coming in the top 3 rather than aiming for that title just yet. But I reckon I'll get back to you at Christmas time and like December, we'll see where we're at with that. Because there's still a long way to go and a lot can happen. Like I said, a lot can happen to other teams as well as our team. But I just feel like, as you can probably tell by my tone, it's just a bit frustrating, isn't it? But moving on to a slightly more positive note, end of the week. In terms of Arsenal, we ended the week on a high because Arsenal won 2-0 against West Ham. I did actually predict this to be a 3-1 win, but if you look at it, the goal difference is the same, so it's a win in my eyes. But obviously, there's a lot of things I could say about this game. Obviously, going into this game, we didn't know how West Ham were going to do, because that's why I put them as it not being a clean sheet, basically, because I was like, they've got a new manager. Is this going to have manager bounce? I spoke to Soph. If you look back on Friday, which is only, 4 days ago, I posted a video on the Arsenal Humans fan zone with Soph, or otherwise more commonly known as Aguna Gossip TV, and we were both saying, this manager bounce, it seems a bit scary, like how will this West Ham game go? But we both did predict it to be wins. I actually think Soph predicted it to be a 2-0 win as well. So I think she pretty much got this spot on, or it was 2-1, something like that. But basically my takeaways from this game is that, firstly, I just love watching Rice against his former club, because I feel like this West Ham fixture we've seen in recent years at the Emirates has been a tricky one for Arsenal. West Ham have either come out on top or they've had good performances. They've been quite high performances, but I think also what was key for Rice is that he basically started off the game in that number 6 role when we had Odegaard on the pitch. Obviously, Odegaard got injured and Zubimendi came on, and then that pushed Rice further up the pitch, and I just think his versatility was once again shining through. I think it's so key. Well, I think he is so key to Arsenal, as I've said in many episodes over the last year since I've started this podcast, that he is such a crucial player for us because he can play in a range of positions and add that depth in the midfield, but also he's just so free with it that it's like, I don't know, it just makes it seem like the midfield can do so much more because he can play multiple positions, basically. Kind of my second point in that point is that Zubimendi is actually so crucial because, like Rice, he's able to control that midfield, and alongside Rice, I think they're a great partnership, great dynamic. Obviously, he came on and it sort of just calmed the play. It allowed Rice to be more flexible and more free, pushing up more, being more attacking. So I think that was just great to see. And overall, I think the feel of Arsenal right now is pretty good. And I think no matter what you've said in the past, in the last couple of seasons or whatever, Arteta is doing a great job and he is making good decisions. And I don't really want to be hearing people being like, oh, Arteta out, Arteta in. I think right now we've got to look at our squad depth. We've got to look at the rotations he's making, the players he's starting, our performances. Our form is very good. We're sitting top of the league. I don't really know what else you expect from a manager to be doing right now. So I feel like it is a very good start to the season. So I don't want to hear any of this stupidity, basically. Because I'm impressed with what he's doing. Obviously, he's got a very good squad, which he helped to create. Obviously, he had a huge say over the summer window, obviously over the last January window. Over the last couple of seasons, I feel like he's really been creating the team that we're witnessing now, and I feel like it's a pretty good time to be a Gooner. It's a phrase I feel like I say a lot on this pod, but it is, so I'll keep saying it. But yeah, I feel like that's basically the 3 takeaways from that game and basically the 9 takeaways from the 3 games overall. Bit of a mixed week. I do feel like the women, there's still a bit of confusion. There's still not that fight that we want to see. But for the men, there was a bit of confusion at the start of the season, but we seem to be seeing players lock in. Yes, we haven't got that Gyökeres goal that we're looking for, but we're seeing players lock in slowly. So hopefully the women can replicate that. And as a whole, I feel like Arsenal were in a good position. It is early days. And yeah, it's just about players becoming familiar with each other and the game and the league, whatever competition they're competing in. So yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time. And we've actually got, obviously, the men are on their international break right now. So some will be competing tonight, some tomorrow, some at the end of the week. And I feel like this is a good time to reset. But we've obviously still got 2 games for the women's side. And the first one kicks off tonight. So before I waffle about the past, let's look at the future and look at the games kicking off tonight. Arsenal versus Lyon. The Champions League is back tonight, and obviously Arsenal are the reigning champions, so I feel like there is extra pressure on our shoulders. I mean, the kickoff is tonight, 8 p.m. It is at Meadow Park, and obviously, as I said, literally 30 seconds ago, it is the Champions League. So yeah, I feel like as much as Arsenal are the reigning champions, we have that pressure. I do feel like our form has been pretty poor recently. We're still figuring things out, and that does worry me a little bit heading into this big competition that we are looking to retain. I don't think that obviously, especially with the new format, the first couple games will necessarily dictate what happens, but we want to be winning these games, or at least drawing these games, just to ease us so that we have those points, and then eventually by, I think the games end sort of like mid-December. By that point, then we'll be able to feel calm and would have tallied up a lot of points, basically. So yeah, Lyon, I think, will be entering this game a little bit more confident than Arsenal will, which obviously isn't too encouraging, but that's just based purely off the forms recently. But we know Arsenal, we know they show up in big games, and Slagers has the players to rotate. So I'm feeling good ahead of this game. I do feel like it being at Meadow Park will be able to add that extra enthusiasm, that extra energy to the players, because you've seen many times that Meadow Park carries the players over that line. The fans help cheer those players over that line. So I reckon, off the top of my head, I think realistically, thinking with my head, it's going to be a 2-2 draw. But thinking with my heart, I think we can win 3-2. So, what should I say? Okay, you know what? I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw, because I feel like the last few weeks I've predicted wins and it's just not gone the way I want it to. So at least if I predict a draw, I'm either going to get it right, or hopefully I'm going to be pleasantly surprised, because this isn't a game that I'm looking at and thinking, right, we'll lose a lot of points, like we'll drop 3 points. So I'm confident about that. I think also our game against Brighton on Sunday the 12th, so literally on Sunday at 2:30, it's at the Emirates. I will be there because obviously I have my WSL season ticket, and I know many of you lot will be there as well, so I'm very excited about that. I think it's sort of, that game is pretty much based on how tonight's game against Lyon goes. Today's game dictates the formation, the players, who we start, who we sub on, loads of different things, all the tactical abilities I feel like will be dictated by tonight's game. I do think it's going to be a 2-0 win, but not even that I think it's going to be a 2-0 win, I need it to be a 2-0 win, because I just feel like so many times recently we've been saying we need this, but like it's getting to the point now where if we don't win, that is so concerning. Our goal difference was looking so good after those first 2 games, and then since then it's just dropped off. And also we have the October international break in the next few weeks for the women's side, and then when we come out of it, pretty much it might even be the first game, which is actually really worrying, but if not, it'll be the second game. We come out of that and we're against Chelsea, and that is arguably the biggest game of the season. So we need to be doing these games just to build up that confidence. Hopefully tonight will help, and then on Sunday we need to be doing it in the league, because that seems to be the spot we're struggling with a bit. I think obviously Brighton not having Adjaman or Kafaji will be great for Arsenal, but it's still going to be a tough competition. So we can't rule anything out. So we need to basically not be complacent, but we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, that is basically all the games that we need to look ahead to, which is really weird that it's only 2, because I feel like for the last few weeks we've been looking ahead to about 3 or 4 games each week. So it's just a couple of games. I'm predicting 1 draw, 1 win. Had to think about that because I was like, did I go with my head or heart in that? But I went with my head. So 1 draw, 1 win. And yeah, let me know down in the comments. As always, anything based off the games that we've played in the last week, the games we're about to play in the next week, and just any thoughts on Arsenal as a whole, men, women, you name it. Just let me know. Let me know your thoughts. I feel like, yeah, this has been a bit of a weird emotional episode of like ups and downs for different games. So I feel like there's been a bit of variety of everything. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. And if this is the first time you're seeing me, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If not, thank you for joining me on this journey. If you did like it, please subscribe. Please like the video. Comment down as I said. And if you're listening on Spotify, please give me a follow over there and just stay on the journey with me, I guess. But yeah, that's all I have to say. I'll be doing an episode on Tuesday, obviously just me in this sort of format. And then not next Friday, but the Friday after, there'll be an Arsenal Humans fan zone. So also actually on that, let me know down in the comments what Arsenal fan you want to see next on my channel, because I've had, 5 fans right now. I've got a list of about 20 people that I need to reach out to as well. So I feel like I've got the next few months covered. But if there's any guests you want in particular, let me know, because then I'll do my best to get them on, and then I'll bump them right up so they're sooner, basically, those episodes. But yeah, that's all from me. Have a good week. And yeah, I'll see you later.